Good evening, everybody. My name's Kelly Lamb. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Miele, and I want to welcome everybody. Bienvenue, willkommen. You're here with us at Miele Live. It's an interactive session with you, our customers. As many of you are at home with your families, we want to ensure that we continue to provide you the services that you expect of Miele. Tonight's a very special session. It's something really different. We're actually going to cook with you live tonight. So I have with me Marilyn,
Hello, everyone.
our product expert. And this session, again, is the first time that we're actually doing a live interactive cooking session with you, our viewers at home. Hopefully at this time, you all have the recipes that we're going to be going over tonight, and we'll go over that in a second. But again, with Miele Live, these sessions are completely interactive. Some of you have had questions, and feel free to send those through in before. If you're watching through YouTube, be sure to log into your YouTube account and you can leave the question through the comments as well. If you're watching live on miele.ca tonight, then you can register at the bottom of that site and leave your questions or comments with us. As we're cooking live, so there will be some breaks and pauses as we wait for ovens to preheat and steam, we will try to get to some of those questions for you. So we're really excited tonight, Marilyn. Maybe you want to just quickly cover what are we going to be cooking tonight?
Yes, thank you, Kelly. Welcome, everyone. So tonight we are going to be preparing the cannelloni. I always have a little bit of problem with that, but cannelloni risotto classico. And then we're also going to be preparing steamed salmon that we'll serve with a side salad, as well as a poached cinnamon pear for dessert. So that is going to be everything that we are going to be putting together. And then at the end, you'll have a really nice meal that will be ready for your family to serve.
Good. So I think it's important to note this is real time with you. So hopefully you're going to be cooking along with us. So we should get started because we want to make sure that you and your family have a lovely dinner. Now, as we said, it would be great for you at home to get the family involved, the kids involved, everybody involved in this cooking process. Marilyn's really going to be doing the cooking tonight because we want to kind of show you how easy this is. I think it's also important to note that we have pre-chopped, pre-sliced, everything's measured out, so hopefully you have two at home. We'll try to go at a pace that you can follow as well. And one other thing is many of you will be cooking with a couple of different ovens. So Marilyn, maybe we should go over the different ovens that possibly our customers could be using to cook with us tonight.
Exactly. So tonight we will be using the DGC, which is our combi steam unit, the XL, as well as at home, viewers at home may have the steam oven on its own, so you can still do the menu cooking with that. And then some of you may also have our DGC Combi Steam XXL, so the larger unit. But in this case, I'll just actually prepare everything in the XL unit.
Yeah, so I think it's important to know tonight's recipe is really featuring the steam function. So that's why even if you just have the regular steam oven, that's perfect because that's what we're going to cook with tonight. In addition to that, we're going to feature menu cooking.
Yes.
We kind of covered that in our live demo on Tuesday.
Yes, that's right.
But we're actually now going to show you how we use it to prepare an entire meal, main course, a pre-main course, which is the risotto in this case, and then an amazing dessert. So Marilyn, I'm going to hand it off to you now to start, and hopefully everybody at home is ready to go. Hands are all washed. If you need aprons, you have aprons. And here we go.
Okay, so let's go through the ingredients of what we're going to be needing for tonight. So we definitely need to have our wine. And we also need to have our saffron. And what I'm going to do right now, this is our crumbled 1/8 of a teaspoon of saffron. And I'm going to add this right away into the wine. So this is 125 milliliter of wine, white wine. And the reason I'm just adding this, because I do want the saffron to just steep in there. Just turn it. And you can see immediately, soon as I add this to the wine, it actually will start turning right now. The color is changing to a beautiful golden color.
Now, Marilyn, if some people don't want to put wine, what's the alternative that they can actually do?
You can actually just add some additional stock, so that would be fine. Just measure out again 125 milliliters and then add the saffron to that, and then that will give it the nice golden color.
Perfect.
Okay, also to this, I'm going to be using 625 milliliters vegetable stock. I've actually finely diced 65 grams of white onion. So that's going to go in there as well.
And again, if I don't want to use vegetable stock, I can use chicken stock. I can use a seafood stock, a
Absolutely,
fish stock.
yes, you can use that. And then I'll run through completely all the ingredients, because at the end, when the risotto will actually be coming out, I'm going to be adding to this. So I'm going to add 57 grams of softened, unsalted butter. I'm also going to be adding at the end 30 grams of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of pepper, and then I'm just going to garnish it with some a block of Parmesan cheese. I'm just going to grate some on the top and put some nice little sprigs of thyme that's on there.
And that's at the very end,
At the
when
very
actually everything comes out of the steam oven. We're finishing that way.
Right.
Perfect.
So let's get started. So hopefully all you viewers at home, you have your measurements already pre-done. I'm going to go a little bit slower to make sure that everybody's following this through, because the first thing that we want to do is, after this is ready, is to put the risotto that's into the oven under our menu cooking. So I'm going to just add the carnaroli rice, risotto into, sorry, not risotto, but our rice into the solid pan. I'm then going to add the wine with the saffron. It's all in there. I'm going to add our finely chopped onions. One teaspoon of salt.
Marilyn, seems pretty easy so far.
Yes, it is. Everything is going into one pot, the solid pot, and then we're just going to mix this together. A half a teaspoon of pepper, and then now we are going to add the broth. And as mentioned right now, I'm using vegetable stock, but you can add chicken if you'd like.
Fish stock?
Yes, absolutely.
So
whatever flavoring that you would like.
And in this case, we don't even need to saute the onions. Actually,
No.
they can go in finely diced.
Right. And I'm just giving it a nice little mixture, so because I do want the onions to be mixed in between, and it's going to soften as it's cooking. And then I'm actually ready to put
So I'm going to step out of
this.
your way.
Yes, thank you. So let's start the programming for the risotto. So we want to do, as I mentioned, menu cooking. So I'm going to turn on our oven. I'm going to go into special modes. So for those of you at home, I'm talking a little bit slower because I just want to make sure that you are following with me as well. And I'm going to press menu cooking. Then I'm going to just press rice. And I know that this is a short grain rice, so short grain rice. And it's asking me rice pudding or risotto. Well, I'm making risotto, so I'm going to press that. And it's telling me here that the rice should be placed in a solid container at a ratio of 1 part rice to 2.5 parts of water. So in our case, we've put the broth that's in there. And I'm going to say, okay. Now, I'm not finished at this point. So what I would like to do, because as we've run through the menu already, I'm going to just program the rest of the items that's in there. So fish is
So now this is menu cooking, right, Marilyn?
right.
So now we're
exactly.
entering the second
The
phase.
second phase.
Which is, and they can put either of the 2 remaining items, it doesn't matter
Yes.
in which order right now.
Right, because at the end, when I'm finished with this, it's going to do the calculation, and then it will tell me what item will go on first. So right now I'm making then the salmon. In the DGC, it comes up as tenderloin, but in the steam oven, it will come up as fillet. So just a note for you to know that. And my salmon that I chose is approximately 2 centimeters. So I'm selecting that. And in this case, it's telling me place the fish in a grease perforated container, thaw frozen fish first, and I'll say okay. But I'm going to get back to the containers in a minute because I know on our recipe that we have a solid container, but I'm going to explain the difference on there. Then I'm going to add the food again, and I have a dessert. So it's the pears. I'm going to select pears, and we quartered them. So select quartered. And then it's going to ask me how do I want it, because I want the pears to be a bit soft. So I'm actually going to go like 2 settings up. Once I've selected that, I press OK. And I'm going to say Start Menu Cooking. And automatically now, Kelly, as you can see, now it's telling me that I'm going to add the risotto in here. So I'm going to actually do that.
So hopefully all of you at home are able to follow. We will slow it down as well to make sure that you have enough time to match what Marilyn's doing.
And now I'm just going to press OK. So it's going to do a preheating. Once it does a preheating, then everything will take approximately 18 minutes. Keep in mind, every time we open the oven to add the next item, it does a preheating to bring it back up to boiling point, which is a 212, because that's what we're doing with the steam.
So Marilyn, while
Yes.
that's in, actually we already have some questions that we can probably quickly answer.
Yes.
So again, hopefully all of you at home take this time to, if you haven't got the risotto in, make sure you actually take the opportunity now to catch up with that. Deb is out there, hopefully cooking with us, Deb, with your family tonight. Deb has a question about the risotto.
Yes.
Does the pan placement matter in this particular case?
Hello, Deb. Very nice to have you join us today. No, it doesn't. When you are doing anything, menu cooking, just cooking steam, the placement of the pan does not matter. So in this particular case, you did notice that I put it on to the second level because I put the risotto in there. And then my thought process really is that I'm going to put the fish on the bottom and then I'm going to put the pears on the top. But I could have put it in any program on there. I just wanted to actually put it in the middle.
So the only thing there as well, Deb, is I know if you follow also the direction on the menu cooking program
Yes.
for salmon, where it did ask you to put it on a perforated tray.
Yes,
If you
then-
did use it on a perforated tray, then it will matter.
Yes.
Because you don't want the juices from the salmon to drip into whatever's underneath. So in that particular case, you would put the salmon at the
Yes.
bottom.
Exactly.
Because as you will see in a minute, we're doing the salmon on a solid tray with parchment paper. It really doesn't matter where it goes. And
Absolutely.
the oven, if it really is particular, a program, the oven will tell you to put it on a specific level.
Yes,
But in this particular
exactly.
case, no.
Yes. Thank you for that. I forgot about the perforated with the salmon there, but it's true.
Because it would be an interesting flavor.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's okay. Again, if it's over rice or where you want the
Yes.
sauce or the drippings to go in, but
True.
maybe not in this case.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So Deb has another question, Marilyn.
Yes.
Does the pan need to be covered with foil?
That's a good question. In this case, no, it does not need to be covered with foil. So we want the moisture for it to cook the rice. So having that open, that's fine. For the salmon, again, would be the same, just open, and we don't have to worry because there is not going to be any flavor transfer by putting these 3 dishes that's in there that you have to be worried about. So don't worry about your salmon mixing with the pears. That's not going to be happening. You'll see at the end.
Perfect. We have another question coming in from MNWC Front Desk, who's out there. And the question is, are larger pans available for combi steam oven? I make risotto frequently, but I find the pan only comfortably makes 4 portions, I'd like to be able to make it for guests. So first of all, we're really happy that you're actually using the steam oven to make risotto, so that's really good. Marilyn, as far as the pans go, do we have larger pans, solid pans, obviously, in this case?
Yes, we do have a selection of pans that are much deeper. What I would actually recommend is if you were to call our customer care department, they will ask you what oven you have, and then they would pull up the schematics, which actually will show you all the different size pans that is available to you. So you may end up finding one that's deeper that will be able to accommodate your family as well.
Perfect. And during the segment of this show, we will, again, because we're live and we're going to try to answer as best we can, we will try to see if we can find a pan to actually show you the various sizes that we have.
Right.
You can also go on miele.ca, of course, to see what's available there.
Right.
Good. Deb has a question. Marilyn, I'm not sure I can answer this one, so I'm going to give this one to you. Is polenta similar to risotto?
No, polenta is not similar to risotto. So polenta is made out of cornmeal, so it's a very grainy, sandy grain that you would mix together to create polenta. So it's totally different from the actual short grain rice. So don't mix one from the other. If you're making polenta, look for the cornmeal that you'll need for that. And then if you're making risotto, then you would, actually leads us into another good, interesting subject, is the different rice that's available for risotto.
Yeah. So I think, Deb, there, if obviously your question was more, does polenta cook the same way as risotto does? No, it won't. No. And I would definitely look for the program for polenta. If not, send us a comment. We'll be able to send you some through that you can do in the steam oven as well.
Right.
So, Marilyn, I just want to take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about the actual ingredients we use, because we were pretty specific when we chose the ingredients we used. As the name of the dish is Carnaroli risotto classico.
Yes.
A lot of you will also see risotto recipes using arborio rice. And we chose Carnaroli because one, it's slightly longer in length than the traditional arborio. And it also ends up being a little starchier. So because we want that creaminess, because we're cooking this also using a different method than a traditional method, we chose this particular type of rice instead of your more common arborio. So if you have arborio and that's what you bought and you're cooking with us, it's totally fine as well. But actually we prefer here to use Carnaroli. It really does create a bit more of a creamy texture for the risotto. So that's why, I think ingredients are so important. And I think, let's talk just briefly. Why is steaming becoming so popular?
Well, it's really about healthy cooking, healthy eating. You're not having to use oils. You're going to notice that the flavor of different vegetables that you're cooking or the food itself, you'll taste it more because it's getting more, the steam is not waterlogging it. Like if you were to do it sometimes a traditional way on the cooktop and then there's too much, you don't know how much to boil it, take it off the pan sooner. Whereas in our ovens, everything is already programmed, so we know exactly the length of time it's going to take. We've done the selection as to whether you would like it al dente or you would like it softer. You have that selection, and it's going to be precise every time that you prepare it. You make your selection on here, but it's that healthy cooking on there, just eliminating anything else, any oils, and as I mentioned as well, salt.
And I think that's why sometimes ingredients in the case of steam is so important.
Yes.
Because as we kind of discussed during the steam demonstration we did a couple of days ago, it really in some ways brings out the true flavors.
Yes.
So, we would recommend as well, go out and find some beautiful carrots right now or beautiful green beans right now as we, again, head into spring. There's so many great vegetables. And just steam them without anything. And you'll really notice that it brings out the true flavors in those ingredients themselves without even adding any salts or any oils or any sauces. I think that's really an interesting
Absolutely.
part, and I think that's why
Yes.
the choice of ingredients are so important. So, Marilyn, before you jump to the next
Yes.
item,
Yes.
we have one more question,
Yes.
and it was in regards to filling up the water.
Yes.
So, in the case, obviously, if somebody does not have a plumbed machine, meaning that the water line runs into the steam oven or the combi steam oven, should they fill up the water prior to?
Yes.
And if it does run out, which sometimes it does,
Yes.
it happens to us too here, does the oven actually tell you that the water's run out?
Yeah, that's a great question, especially if you've not encountered that at home. So prior to cooking, I actually do press the lift panel and I check to see where my water level is. If I need to, I'll take the container out and fill it. I will just check the condensate side to see what level I'm at. Once I filled it, I'm good to go. Now, should I forget to do that and I'm cooking and all of a sudden I've run out of water, what it will do, it will, there's a little drop down screen in here that will drop down and it will say to prepare, to fill, the water container and to put it in.
Great.
Okay.
We need to help somebody out that's out there. Dave Hughes out there, who's cooking along with us, could not find the risotto under special modes. So we're going to help you out right now to
Yes.
kind of catch you back up.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether we can pan over enough to get, Marilyn, do you want to?
Yes, I can. So you would basically, maybe I'll go on this side, might be better. So I'm going to go special modes, press the button, and I'm going to press menu cooking, and I'm going to press rice. So Dave, hopefully you're with me so far. And then now you're going to press short grain rice because that would be for preparing the risotto. And there is the rice pudding and the risotto comes up. So we're going to press risotto. And again, it's going to say the same as it did in the DGC, the combi steam, to add 1 part rice and 2.5 point water. And I'm going to press OK. So hopefully, Dave, that has helped you and that you have found it in the setting for you there. Okay?
Thanks, Marilyn. So
No
Dave, again, we're doing this live. We're going to help you out. So if you haven't caught up, if you didn't find it, send a comment through, and we will get to you as we'll keep an eye on your comments coming in. Virginia Brickman has a question. Would this recipe work with arborio rice? Virginia, absolutely. So, the most common, I think, risotto recipes are with arborio, so it's absolutely no problem. We've tested it with arborio rice, but again, we just have a bit of a preference. We found kind of the best results has been using cannaroli rice for this. Again, because it is a little starchier, you're not doing the traditional method of stirring it over the cooktop. But again, absolutely no problem in that regard. Okay. So, Marilyn, I know you need to get on to the next one.
Yes, because
and we'll come back to some of the
that's
questions.
right.
We're checking the questions out. We have 2 more questions, one from Deb and one from Hader, and we will definitely get to those, but we're going to let Marilyn get to the next dish, which would be the pears.
Right. Okay. All right. So the countdown is telling me that at 5:28, in our case, that I should have my pears ready because I need to add that into the oven. So I'm going to right now just go through the ingredients for the pears. Right. So I have quartered 4 of the Bosc pears, and I peeled them, cored them, so they're ready to go. I also have 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. I have 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I also have 3/4 of a cup of water. And I chose the 1/4 of a cup of sweet wine. In this case, I have Riesling. And then also 6 sticks of cinnamon. So I've got that to go in. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to put our pears in a solid pan. So once again, I'm just using a half sheet for this.
And I think, Marilyn, a little tip, if everybody's out there and pre-preparing or pre-quartering their pears in order to avoid them going brown, just put a bit of lemon juice over that, and that'll prevent it from browning.
Right. And so just in a small bowl, I'm just adding the brown sugar. I'm going to add the wine. And for those of you that you don't want to add wine, you can actually add some apple juice in here, and that works just as well. I'm adding my 3/4 cups of water. Teaspoon of vanilla, as I mentioned. Just going to mix that really well right now. I want to make sure that the brown sugar is dissolving a little bit. And then to that, I'm adding the cinnamon sticks. How am I doing with time?
So
Kelly?
yeah, I was just going to jump in there, Marilyn. I didn't want to interrupt you, but for those that are cooking along with us, your oven should read that it's about 11 minutes away from the next item to go into the oven at roughly 528. So the oven is telling me right now there's 11 minutes left before the next item needs to go in. So if you're, again, following at home, that's roughly the time that you are looking at right now. Cynthia, you had that question. So yes, the oven will give you the time, but also the time left before the next item needs to go in.
Great. Okay. And this was very simple, Kelly, as you noticed here. I just simply mixed everything together. I'm just kind of positioning my cinnamon sticks because as it's going to be cooking, I want that flavoring in there.
And Marilyn, what if people didn't, I know we used a Riesling.
Yes.
What if somebody didn't want to use alcohol? What could they substitute for this particular recipe the Riesling with?
This is for my pear.
Yeah.
Well, as I had just mentioned quickly, was that if you did not want to use the wine, you could use the some apple juice, and that would work as well. In this case, I'm just going to put the pears on the top, and I'm going to.
So the oven's actually already told you. So for
Yes.
everybody at home,
You should be adding your pears in at this moment. So once you've added your pears, you're pressing OK. And what it does is, because I've opened the door for the oven, some of the steam has escaped. And so now it's just going to preheat it again, just to bring it up to temperature. So once it does that, it's telling me that the time left on here is 10 minutes. So once we reach it, it'll tell me when the next item will actually go in. Okay? So I just want to make sure that everybody at home is with me and followed with me right through, that the pears have gone in. And then the next item that we have is the salmon. But let's discuss a little bit before we add the salmon about the trays, because we did mention that earlier.
And let's just maybe do a check again with everybody at home. We're going to check the comments to make sure you're all with us. And there's nobody lagging behind. Dave, do we put it in before or after preheating?
Before. As soon as you have, it says the risotto and add the risotto, you're actually putting it in at that point. Don't wait for it to preheat, because you're going to be, it's going to do the whole preheating and take into consideration the length of time that it's going to cook.
Yeah. So hopefully, Dave, that answered your questions there.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll give everybody a chance to clean up as well. Because,
yeah, exactly.
But Marilyn, while we're
yes.
waiting for that, let's just go back to the dessert for a second.
Yes.
With the pears. So I think there were a couple of questions about, if I don't, first of all, what are the best pears to use?
Oh, very good.
And also, if I don't have pears or I don't like pears,
Yes.
what are some substitutes or different alternatives I could use other than the pears.
Okay, so what I used for our dish today is Bosc pears. You can also use Bartlett, but great alternatives really would be if you wanted to use apples. You can do that. If you wanted to use Asian pears, again, you could use that. And anything that's firm, you do want something that is firm so that when it goes into the oven, and where we're going to be using the steam to soften it, that will assist it in getting softer, so you don't have to worry. So I wouldn't use anything like let me think quickly, a melon or something, because that's already too soft. I wouldn't use what's the next fruits? I'm just thinking of some fruits that might be there.
But even certain pears, like if I look at probably an Anjou or
yeah.
a Bartlett, probably won't work best in this recipe because they're just not firm enough.
Well, the Bartlett is good.
Oh, Bartlett,
yeah,
yes,
Bartlett
right.
is good.
It was the Anjou.
Anjou, yes.
That's not the best one to use.
Right.
We did not do that, missed it. Can we just wait for rice to cook and then do? So Dave, sorry Dave, we're following you here, so we're making sure you're going to be okay. We did not do that. So right, so the rice hasn't gone in for you, so you waited for the preheat. Can we just wait for rice to cook and then do the salmon?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you could. So what's important to know about the risotto is you will need to serve and eat it, and like any risotto, right away. So while you're enjoying the risotto and it comes out of the oven, you could get the salmon in at that point in time.
That's right.
Because in this case, the salmon we're treating as a separate dish with a spring salad.
Yes.
So you could, if you've really missed that step.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So it'll be fine. So sorry, can I just go back for a second? So Dave is saying that he's missed
the preheating,
and then now he's going to put the rice in at this point.
Yeah.
And then do the salmon. Oh yes, exactly what you said, Kelly, because you want the rice to cook and then add the salmon. So I'm hoping, Dave, that you did do the menu cooking so that it's going to prompt you when to put the salmon in. So I'm just a little bit...
but he missed the prompt for the risotto.
Right. So, and I'm thinking now that you went ahead and put the rice in maybe after the preheating. So, what's going to end up happening is that I would wait, obviously, a little bit, couple of minutes, 2, 3 months. Yeah, keep it in there longer, and then, to be honest with you, because salmon will take approximately 6 minutes in this case, so 6-7 minutes. So just let it do its cooking, and when you've got the last 6 minutes that's left in there, then you may want to just put your salmon in. That's just a little bit of a cheating for you to do that, because I'm a little bit worried as to what stage it's going to be going in and for you to add the salmon. So.
Yeah. Deb, you had a question for us. If you use a deeper pan, would that affect cooking time? If you're making double the amount of risotto, does the time change? Actually, it doesn't in this case.
No.
So either a deeper pan, which is available, or if you're actually doubling our recipe because you're feeding more people, the time is exactly the same. So it doesn't change at all.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right. You want to talk a bit about the pans?
I did. I wanted to talk about the pans. So in our recipe, I actually mentioned about using a solid pan and also the parchment paper. So what I wanted to do is that you can also, if you didn't want to use the parchment paper, just take the pan and just spray it lightly with some oil, like spray that's in there, and then you can still cook the salmon directly onto the tray. The reason I use the parchment paper is because it's really, my way is just easy cleaning. Once I actually serve the salmon, I'm able to just scoop it up and place it into my plate, and I'm just literally throwing this away, and it's a quick rinse for the dishes after it's done.
So Marilyn, I'm just doing a check on our oven. It's saying place food item in at 537, which is roughly 2 minutes.
Okay.
away. So I want to make
So,
sure
yes.
we get the salmon in on time.
Right. So as you can see, I've got some beautiful pieces of salmon here. In your recipe as well, you'll notice that I said to have 4 pieces of salmon, but for today's segment for us, I've just put 2 pieces. So really, I know the question may come back, does it matter how many pieces I'm actually putting in? And no, because I'm going to, it already knows how long it's going to take. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the salmon.
And we're using, and today we're using a Irish organic salmon.
Yes.
But again, any type of salmon, I think roughly 2 centimeters in
2 centimeters in thickness. Right
thickness.
here. And then I'm just going to just sprinkle on some pepper. As simple as that. I'm not doing anything more to this. And also I'm going to just sprinkle some salt. And that's it. And where am I at this point? I think I'm going to be ready. So my salmon has already now been prepared, and it's telling me, there we go, to add the salmon. So I'm just going to open the door. Oh, I can smell the pears actually cooking there. And I'm just going to add the salmon at the bottom, close the door, and I'm going to press OK. All right. So just want to make sure that our viewers at home as well, your salmon has gone in and that it has prompted you to do so. Sometimes because we're talking right now, so we just rushed a little bit and we caught it. But usually if you haven't opened the door, it's just kind of going to leave it there a little bit to tell you to add the next item, and that's what we've done. So now that everything has gone in to the oven.
So everybody, hopefully everything's gone in. Maybe we'll take a couple of questions.
Yes.
Again, the salmon won't take that long, and then I think actually people will be ready to eat soon. So Donna's out there. Thanks, Donna, for joining us today. You have a question about should we remove the skin of the salmon before steaming? Marilyn, in this case, what did we decide to do?
I use skinless because with the recipe it was skinless salmon that you use. But if you have the skin on, that's fine. Don't remove it before putting it on. You can actually put it in the oven with the skin, because once it actually cooks, it will slide off. Once you use a spatula, you can actually separate it from the skin and then to put it onto the plate.
Yeah, and Donna, I can tell you, in my household, we actually love the salmon skin. So what we do is we'll steam it. Yeah. As Marilyn said, it comes off very, very easily. We'll actually pat the salmon skin dry and actually use the convection oven, sprinkle it with a bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper on the skin, and we'll actually slowly dry it out or bake it, and it's almost like a chip.
Yes.
And we'll use that as a garnish for a dish. So again, it's a bit of personal preference, but we love the crunch of the salmon skin. So that's what we do at our house.
Nice.
When we make it.
Okay.
Hader has a question for us. Can I do paella using menu risotto? So I guess using the menu cooking in risotto.
I have to be honest with you, Hader. I have not tried that, so I don't know. Have you tried it?
I believe we actually have a paella program.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
We actually have a paella program specifically. So no, I definitely would not use the risotto because it really is a completely different cooking method and time. But if you go into the program, I believe there is actually a paella program specifically for that. So specifically on that note too, you have to remember that with Miele ovens, you're actually getting access to international recipes and menus as well. So when you actually change the language in the actual ovens, you're not actually only changing the language, but it actually gives you access to recipes. So say, for example, I actually changed the recipe to, or the language to Spanish. You're actually now gaining the recipes or the automated programs developed by actually our colleagues at Miele Spain. If you change the language to Chinese, you're actually getting recipes and automated programs developed by our colleagues at Miele Hong Kong and Miele China. So it actually is truly a wealth of recipe resource that's really genuine to the country that you're getting through the ovens themselves. So again, Hader, hopefully you can double check that. We will double check that for you as well. But I do believe there's actually specifically a paella program that you can access in the ovens. Cynthia has another question for us. What does cook mean in the salmon recipe? So Marilyn, I'm going to have to hand this one to you.
Sure. Actually, it's going through the process. So it's what we've selected from the beginning, where in this case, we went through menu cooking. So steam and cook, it kind of like, it's just, it's telling us that's how long that we're going to actually be cooking the food for. So it's nothing specific on there. It's the actual program that you're using.
Great. So again, hopefully everybody is following along. I think, Marilyn, I'm just doing a time check there to make sure that our viewers at home are also roughly in the same time. It looks like it's about 5 minutes.
5 minutes that's left, and we'll be ready. So what I would just like is to have we'll get our plates ready as well. And then I'm going to just show about how the final steps are for the risotto and what we'll need.
I think maybe while we're waiting.
Oh, do the salad.
Yeah, it'd be great as actually, Marilyn, if maybe you want to grab the ingredients. So I don't know what you've chosen at home. We've kind of left it up to you a little bit, but we're going to do a very simple spring mix salad here. So I think you're going to do a quick dressing for us for the salad. And I'm going to get you the salad.
Thank you, Kelly. So what I'm putting together here is actually 2 tablespoons of oil. This is a very, very simple dressing. And I'm also putting 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar.
Marilyn, what type of oil are you using here?
In this case, I'm just using olive oil.
Okay.
And then I'm doing 1 teaspoon of the mustard, a Dijon mustard. So I'm just putting that in. And then I'm just going to give this really a quick whisk, because I would just want to drizzle this over the salad. So Dijon mustard goes really well with salmon. If any of you have tried that at home as well, just simple mix, and then. And
maybe we'll finish it when we're about to eat. You want to dress too early, so that everything becomes little soggy there.
Sorry, I'm just stepping out for a second.
No problem. So Deb has another question, Marilyn. Is there a reheat function?
Oh, yes, there is. When you go into special modes on the oven, you'll actually see reheat, and that's what you would can select to warm up your food. Kelly, if you don't mind, I'm just actually going to grab my bowl, because for my risotto and then for the dessert. So I'd like to plate that nicely.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
So Sean, you have a question about cleaning, and I think we talked a little bit about this one the other day when we actually did the Combi Steam demo set. So what is the best way to clean the Combi Steam oven? I wipe it down regularly and use Miele DG Clean, but there's always something that burns on it. So very good question. We get this question a lot. We got this question actually on Wednesday, yesterday actually, when we did the session. So a couple of tips and maybe some tricks. So one tip is definitely, in the case of the DGC, I imagine is what you're talking about. Yeah, the Combi Steam oven. If you're using the bake function at all, you really need to get to cleaning it right after usage. Unfortunately, there's no way around this. You just don't want to leave it, and then the next time you use it, it further bakes in any type of grease or residue that's still on there. If you have done that, which many of us have, and that's okay. The other way is use the DG Clean solution, or the what we provide. Spray it on, and it's going to take a bit of roll up your sleeves muscle work, but you're going to need to take a pad that has a bit of a scouring surface, and you need to gently and slowly clean it off and rub it off. And it's going to take a little bit of patience and a little bit of repetition, but that will do the job. So unfortunately, there's no magic behind it. It is a bit of work. Now, we need to move because I know that the oven is ready. Obviously, hopefully at home, you're also ready as well. I'm going to hand this back over to Marilyn because with the risotto, we need to get it out, mixed and plated very quickly. So I'm going to hand it back to Marilyn right now.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay. That's a great sound that you like to hear when the timing is all finished, and now we're just going to open up our oven. I'm going to take out the fish. Also, just going to take out the pears. They smell amazing. They should be smelling amazing in your home as well. And for the risotto, what I'm going to do right now is, as it's come out, you want to see that it's still, there's some liquid that's still left in here, which is great because we do want that.
That looks really good, Marilyn.
Yes. And now is where we're just going to work the rest of our ingredients in here. So I'm going to add the softened butter. Just going to mix that around. See how creamy that is as well. And with that liquid that you wanted, that's exactly what you want to have in there, that it's not a dry or sticky. And now we're going to add the grated Parmesan cheese.
Because I think once the cheese goes in, it will tighten up relatively quickly.
Yes.
So you do need, it may appear like it's a lot of liquid to start, but actually once the cheese goes in, once you get it plated, you'll notice it's actually the perfect consistency of the risotto.
Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plate over here. Just give me 1 second. Oh, that's looking really nice. Just going to grab a spoon. See that creaminess that's there, Kelly?
Looks really good.
Beautiful. And this was all done in the DGC, where we did not have to stand over the stove. And let me just, you know, when you actually, I guess, shake it like that, that just tells you that it's really, the setting is, it's been creamy and it's at the right consistency. And in this case, I'm just going to grate some nice Parmesan cheese on there. Additional cheese, because I'm sure who doesn't like that. And I'm also going to, just to show you, I just want to put a few little sprinkling of thyme that's on here. And those of you at home, you know, you just have to hold the actual twig on there, or the branch, and you pull backwards, and that will remove everything that you need for the little thyme that's coming off. So just a little bit, and then that's it. So we are actually good to go. So that is the risotto that's ready. And then let's go to our next item. So let me just put this over here. Actually, I'm going to do the salmon. And I'm just taking my spatula there just to scoop this up. As I mentioned, with the parchment paper, it just comes off really nicely. That looks beautiful. And my dressing. So with dressing, you can do it two ways, really. You can either mix it in with the greens if you'd like. So I'm just going to bring this over here. Or you can serve the salad in the plate itself and just nicely drizzle this. And that's what I think I'm going to, well, you know what? No, I'm going to add it to my salad.
So Marilyn, as you're actually doing that, Deb, thanks for really participating with us in this. She has a question for seafood risotto. What seafood would you recommend? Would shrimp overcook? So for a seafood risotto, I think one thing is I would replace the stock. Instead of vegetable or chicken stock, I would do a seafood stock. About the shrimp overcooking, so I would use menu cooking and actually have the shrimp, so in this case where we cook the salmon, instead I would actually use the menu cooking and cook the shrimp separately, so it would prompt you afterwards. So it wouldn't overcook in that particular case. So hopefully that answers your question there.
So that's our salmon, beautifully done. And finally, I'm just going to actually serve the pears. I'm not sure if you can smell this, Kelly, but with the cinnamon, the vanilla.
It almost smells very Christmassy.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to place the pears in. You know what? I'm just going to add the little cinnamon stick that's in here and the juice. The juice to this is absolutely delicious.
So Marilyn, as you're finishing that, Cynthia was asking the question, are you serving the risotto as a side dish at the same time as the salmon? No, so actually in this case, we were serving the risotto kind of as a first course instead of an appetizer. So we were doing the risotto, the main course being a little bit lighter. That's why we decided on the salmon with the salad and then the poached pears. But again, you could do that however you wish to do that.
Exactly. And
sorry, Marilyn, I need to answer that one.
oh no,
again.
no, that's okay. That's okay.
Sorry. The question was, are you serving the risotto as a side dish at the same time, or as it looks a bit awkward? So, in our particular case, we're actually serving the risotto as a first course, as a primi, and then the main course is the salmon and the salad. So, the risotto being a little heavier, we thought we would lighten it up a little bit with the salmon and the spring salad, and then the pears. But again, that's completely up to you how you'd like to serve that, but our plan was to serve the risotto as a first course instead of an appetizer.
Right. And now that this is complete, if you wanted to, for the pears, you can just garnish it with a couple raspberries, a little bit of mint on there. I did have a little bit of problem sourcing mint right now. The grocery stores don't have everything that I need, but this completes the meal itself. So hopefully this has been very easy for you to prepare, and that you've been able to join us. And Dave, I'm still thinking about you, and I'm just hoping that we're at the step that you're at, that your meal turns out as well. But for everybody there that has been following with us, please enjoy your dinner with the family. And I'm going to pass it over to Kelly.
No, thanks,
Kelly, you
Marilyn.
good?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we want to make sure that you guys now go ahead and enjoy dinner for those that were able to cook with us. So we hope you enjoyed this segment. We want to do a couple new sessions in the coming weeks to come. So if there are specific recipes you'd like us to do, whether it's in our steam oven, our steam convection oven, our speed oven, our regular convection oven, leave us a comment. Go on mielelive.ca, leave us a comment there, and we will work out a new live menu cooking with you, and hopefully we'll see you again at a different dinner. But we want to make sure you guys have a chance to go ahead and eat. So on behalf of Marilyn, myself, we wish you a bit of an early happy Easter. Bon appetit, guten appetit, and enjoy your dinner, and we hope to see you again. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.